So the Assad regime has fallen in Syria this morning. What does this mean for Ukraine and Russia with respect to the Russo-Ukrainian war? Привit, my name is Connor Klein and I'm an expert in international relations. I've been living in Ukraine for many years, so I speak Ukrainian and Russian. So I'm here to give you a more nuanced, informed and unique perspective on the happenings of the Russo-Ukrainian war and the other geopolitical events that affect it. So pretty dramatic scenes in Damascus this morning. The Assad regime, which has been in power for several decades, in effect, if you look at the family dynasty, has fallen. Incredible to think just 2 weeks ago, I don't think anyone predicted this. We had a beginning of a rebel offensive in the north towards Aleppo, and now suddenly most of the country has fallen into these rebels' hands. There still is an area in the west of Syria where Russia has an airbase, has more than one airbase and a naval base that doesn't seem to have been taken by rebels yet. We'll have to see what happens with respect to that in the next few hours. What does this all mean for Ukraine in particular? What we're seeing is a clear decision by the Kremlin that they were not going to invest more resources to prop up the Assad regime. They clearly are struggling with the Russo-Ukrainian war. It's now almost into its third year. As I said in another video I made about a month ago, Putin has to solve three problems in 2025. They are money, men, and materiel, because Russia is running out of all of them. The economy has been under huge strain in the last month or so. We saw the ruble take a big crash in value versus the dollar, recovered a little bit afterwards. However, they have just increasing economic problems. Even the Russian state-controlled media has been talking about the cost of living crisis, with potatoes going up 75% in price in 1 year. So their economy is really facing a major crisis going into 2025. Manpower, their recruitment of Russian men to voluntarily join the war effort with increasingly high salaries is flailing. Basically, their recruitment is down dramatically from this time last year. So they're increasingly facing a manpower shortage at a time when they're increasing the intensity of their offensives in Ukraine. They are burning through their soldiers at a way higher rate than they were a year ago as well, and they are not able to replenish the number of soldiers that they have in Ukraine. Obviously, Ukraine also has issues with manpower. We're looking at this from Russia's point of view, and materiel. They are burning through those stockpiles of Soviet-era equipment that they've been refurbishing for purpose on the front. And 2025, all of those three issues look pretty critical. They'll have to look for solutions to them. So in other videos, I've been talking about North Korean troops coming in. So losing their ability to project power in the Mediterranean through the naval ports and the airfields in Syria is a big loss, not just to Russia's prestige that they're a global power, but also just practically in terms of supporting their operations and allies in the region. There has been a growing alliance between Russia, Iran, North Korea, China to a certain extent, and some other groups in the Middle East. And that is now under threat with, obviously, the fall of Assad. Maybe some other Russian allies are going to struggle in the near future, and Russia will make the same decision as Syria, which is not to invest its resources in propping them up. Also, Russia's ability to support its operations with recent governments that have come to power in Africa, where there are a lot of resources, all that is now under question, whether they're going to be able to continue to support those operations. They may have a complete retrenchment back to their own borders, with the exception, obviously, of where they were closer to home in places like Ukraine. Also, they have the prospect of Georgia, a Euromaidan-style revolution occurring. There are widespread protests in Georgia now for well over a week. It must be going into 10 days. And it has echoes of Ukraine in late 2013, early 2014, after the Viktor Yanukovych, the pro-Russian president, fled to Russia. There was a new government in Kyiv, and Russia invaded, starting with Crimea and then the Donbass region. Would they be able or willing to make the decision to invade more of Georgia? They have previously in 2008 invaded Georgia with South Ossetia and Abkhazia regions, which are de facto independent but not internationally recognized, and to a certain extent been supported by Russia, although there were even protests in Abkhazia recently against Russian interests in the country. So will they be able to project their power into Georgia? Will they make that decision? Or is everything all about Ukraine at this point for Vladimir Putin, and he's willing to jettison Russia's interests in other parts of the globe in order to focus on that? It doesn't look good for the Russian government. They're losing prestige. It's clear that they're weakened significantly in terms of their ability to project power, and it doesn't bode well when you look at the state of the Russian economy, the state of its military and its losses, and very soon their ability to procure new equipment for the war effort is going to be under huge question. So on top of that, Zelensky actually met with Donald Trump, and he was wearing the Ukrainian colors on his suit and tie, which was interesting, maybe just a coincidence, but maybe a sign of the times of what is going to happen with respect to Russia and Vladimir Putin. Very interesting, definitely a very bad week for Russia and its interests, and it may be a harbinger of other things that can develop quite rapidly with respect to the Russo-Ukrainian war. So I'll leave it there, and I will see you in the next video tomorrow.